Yes. What's going on, everybody? Um, Welcome to another Monday morning check-in with your boy. Um, oh no, I'm getting a error message. Um, I will fix that later. Um, okay. So hopefully everything is where it's supposed to be. Been having a few little technical difficulties with my StreamYard, but we in the building. Um, Welcome to another Monday morning check-in. If you do not know, my name is Rolam. I am a writer, storyteller, world builder. I build narrative worlds for the interior frontier where questions are more important than answers. And I'm glad to be with you today on this Monday morning. I wanted to be a little bit more prepared today. I wanted to write down my goals. I wanted to find the goals that I had last week. I'm gonna designate a notebook right now so that I make sure that every week I come on here, I know what my goals are. But first things first, last week was a good week. We crossed 43,000 words on the novel, had a major breakthrough, which I think I talked about last week. Had a major breakthrough, and now that's just making the novel just feel a lot more easy. Moving downhill. Excuse me. Moving downhill with that. Um, if you do not know, the name of the novel is The Unveiling Stars. If you would like to support that, you can definitely check out, my Patreon page where I'm sharing updates, exclusive artwork. Going to start doing some, more world, talking about what the world is and this world that I'm building, the magic system, the cosmology of this world. Yeah, going to be doing more of that over the next couple of months. Excited to, as we go through this year and as I get closer to finishing the novel and telling this story that I've been working on for a while. I'm really excited to bring more people into that process. So, like I said, we crossed 43,000 words, and it's feeling good right now. So, definitely trying to keep up the momentum. I did. So I went to the coffee shop on what's today? Today's Monday. I went to the coffee shop on Saturday, I guess. Um, no, Sunday. Went on Sunday. Attempted to work on the novel, and a new idea just jumped in my head, and I spent the majority of the time world building for this new idea. Um, but it'd be like that sometimes. I told my writing group, and they said, "Hey, better remember that cover, right? Because we got the cover for the other novel, so got to make it happen, right?" And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get the cover, because I wanted to have something that would, in moments like these, right, where a new shiny idea pops up, it's like, hey, well, you just put money into this project, and so this is not a project that you can just put to the wayside. Like, you really got to put your time and your energy into this because this is actually moving right now. So, but I do like to have multiple projects, multiple ideas, that are sort of, while I'm working on one project, I have another project that I'm sort of cooking on. I have another project, just different projects and different phases of the process, right? Some projects are, I'm drafting, some I might be revising, some I might be in the outline phase, some I might be still brainstorming and cooking up and figuring out what it is. But I like having different projects in these different buckets, which allows me to, jump around. I realized something about myself. I'm a very experimental writer. And so I like having, different projects and different genres, different styles, that sort of allows me to if I sort of get, the word is not bored, but if I feel myself getting stuck or stagnant in one project, then I can jump to another project, which is, preferably it has a completely different feel, a completely different, tone, genre, maybe. So it allows me to move to that. My subconscious is working on the other project as I'm working on, this project. And then I'm just jumping, back and forth. Um, so I think it was good. It was good to take that time to just get that idea down and, just start brainstorming and thinking through what it could be, who the characters might be, what, the magic system might look like in this new world. Um, so that felt good. That felt good. Somebody asked me, is this going to be the priority now? And like I just said, no, it can't be the priority. The priority is still the Unveiling Stars, and making sure that gets completed. Also, I'm not sure if I told y'all, but in May, I'm actually going on a writer's retreat with Leslie Penelope, who is a fantasy author that I follow, great fantasy author. And so that is happening in May. And so I really want to have this draft done by then. I'm not sure. I doubt it's only a 3-day retreat, so I doubt anybody's going to actually read it. But I think it would just be good to have that in hand and say, I finished this draft. I know I'm going to have to do one, maybe 2 more drafts on this. So, I just want to, I just want to have this draft done by then, knowing that, then I can go into the retreat, maybe give it a little bit of a breather, give it a little break. I also what probably will happen is once I finish this draft, I probably will take like 2 weeks to just let that sit. And I'll start, outlining or building a new project and sort of getting that rolling. And then after those 2 to 3 weeks are up, then I'll come back to the Unveiling Stars, because what I want to try to do is come back to it fresh. I want to read it. I want to experience it like a reader would experience it. And I want it to feel almost like it's a completely different person, So probably give that 2 to 3 weeks. And in that 2 to 3 weeks, I'll do the retreat, which will be about 3 days. Then I will, probably work on something different. I do have a graphic novel project that I've been working on. This is something, all my comic book work has been done, self-published through Kickstarters. But I think this is something that I would like to pitch, to try to, get an agent potentially, maybe, publish it traditionally. So I may do that in that 2 to 3 weeks. So anyway, so the Unveiling Stars is moving. Like I said, we crossed about 43,000 words last week. We're on chapter 30, I believe. I think I'm on chapter 30 now. I think the story is moving really well. I feel really good about it. So that's that for the Unveiling Stars. This weekend, I will be in Charlotte. I don't know if you remember, but we were supposed to do the Charlotte Mini-Con. Was it January 31st, I believe, like right at the end of January, but that snowstorm happened, so it got postponed. And it's this weekend. I actually woke up the other day and I thought, oh, wait a minute. I think I'm going out of town this weekend. So this weekend I will be in Charlotte for the Charlotte Mini-Con with my guys, Bequest Studios, which is myself, Wally McNair, Morgan Iverson, Danny J. Quick. So we'll be in Charlotte. It'll be good to see the bros. Haven't seen them in a minute. So it'll be good to see them. Shake some hands, kiss some babies. You feel me? Sell some comic books, hopefully. So that's happening this weekend. And I just think my major goal this week is to definitely want to get 2 to 3 chapters done on the Unveiling Stars. And then go from there. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about, because there is something that I did sort of want to discuss on here. And I'm not really sure what my thoughts are or how to share my thoughts, but I want to touch on this a little bit. But One thing I wanted to tell you. So last year, it's been about a year now. I ran a Kickstarter for Scarlet Ranger #3. It has been, I don't know, the obstacles of 2025 just really really threw me off. It just really threw me off in that project. It's been done, but I just haven't been able to, get all the pieces I needed to actually get things shipped out. So now we're in a space where we're ready to start shipping. We're ready to start getting things going. I actually started, packing some orders, as you can see right there. Boom, boom. So we're getting ready to start shipping. So I say that to say, I have 3 issues of the Scarlet Ranger. Here's issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, right? You can get all 3 issues on my website. The link is scrolling at the bottom. It's also in the description of this video. But you can get all 3 issues at a discounted rate, 10% off. I sell them for $10 each. So it would usually be $30, 10% off. You can get all these for $27 plus shipping. This offer ends February 28th. And so if you did not, get a chance to join the Kickstarter, but you would love to, get copies, basically I'm going to be shipping everything out in March. So if you did not back the Kickstarter, but you wanted to get in on these copies, you order by Saturday, you get it at a discounted rate, and your books will be coming to you in March. So definitely check out that link. If you don't know, the Scarlet Ranger is a superhero, a comic book series. It's about a young man who inherits the title of Scarlet Ranger from his grandfather. And the story picks up when his grandfather's greatest enemy breaks out of prison. And so we follow this young man as he's learning how to protect his family, protect his city, but ultimately protect the legacy that his grandfather left for him. And so, like I said, we got 3 issues out right now: issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. And so, yeah, I would love to have your support on that. I would love to get these books into your hands. Like I said, the Kickstarter, it's just been so many obstacles, so many delays, but now we're here. And if you would like to get in on that, you can order by Saturday. This offer ends Saturday. So you won't be able to get that discounted rate after February 28th. So definitely, if you want to get in on that, definitely check out that link, rolam.com. It'll take you straight there, and you can order, you can purchase your copies of the Scarlet Rangers issues 1 through 3. So definitely check that out. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. You can DM me, whatever the case may be. But yeah, definitely check that out. Scarlet Ranger #1, 2, and 3. I think that's it. I just want to do a quick check-in. One of the things I did want to talk about, I've been having this conversation about, and I want to get a panel together for Rolam Live, where we have this conversation about art, and we had this conversation about AI, and we have this conversation about the relationship between artists and writers, and particularly when it comes to comic books. And sometimes I get into these conversations with artists, and there's this air or this feeling of artists, I don't want to say they feel like they're more important than writers. But I guess they feel like they're working harder than writers, or their job is harder than writers, or the load that they carry is heavier than writers. And I think it's an interesting conversation, particularly for the comic book industry, because comic books being visual, there is a truth to that, right? There's a truth to saying the most important piece of, doing comic books is the art. And I think that's true, because, you pick up, I could use, Scarlet Ranger, 3, for example. If you pick up Scarlet Ranger 3, you flip through and you come across this, right? I mean, that's incredible, right? I mean, that's gonna be the thing when you first pick up a comic book, you open it up, it's the art that's gonna catch you first. And so it's important that you find a great artist, somebody you can collaborate with, somebody that you can build with, right? And along with that, though, or the rise of AI has sort of brought to light this conversation between writers and artists. And I had a conversation yesterday, and I was making the case that, like, so you'll see artists say, we're being replaced, our jobs are being taken away by AI art. And I personally don't use AI for art. There may be other things that I might use AI for, practical things, research things. I might even use AI to say, hey, give me a story prompt, right? Give me a prompt for a flash fiction story. Give me a prompt for boom. Give me 3 random words. Give me a random magic system, right? I'll use it to sort of try to randomize, my idea generation space, right? But I don't use it for to generate art. And this conversation that I see artists having, where artists will immediately jump to say, oh, well, they're lazy, they don't want to do the work. If you're using AI, you're doing shortcuts, you're doing this, you're doing that. I think that is a very a reductive way to look at it. I don't think that everybody who's using AI is using AI for the shortcut. I don't think they're using AI for the quote unquote the ease of it, right? I think that there are writers who use AI because for them, that's the only way that they feel like, again, not to say that this is a truth, but they feel like this is the only way or the best way for me to get my story out there if you want to work in comic books. And so I think one of the things that I found myself wanting to have this conversation with artists, not in the defense of people who use AI, but it's in an effort to understand where both sides are coming from. And so one of the things that I said was, I can't remember the post that I came across. I don't remember the guy's name, but I saw a lot of conversation about it yesterday. And one of the things that he said in his post was, this may not be exact, this might be like a paraphrase, but he said, artists don't support writers. And I found that very interesting because I don't know that it's been very few and far between where I felt like an artist was there to support me. And that's not to say that they should be there to support me, right? That's not to say that they have a requirement to support me. That's not to say that, they owe me their support. But I was having a conversation with the artist yesterday, and I asked him the question. I said, have you ever asked a writer how you can support their work? And he said, no, but I do this and I do that and I do this and and he was naming things that he does, which is absolutely support sharing the work and sharing the stories and all those different things. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a form of support for sure. But I think one of the things that I was trying to explain to him, And I would be interested, anybody who watches this, I would be interested to hear your thoughts on this. But one of the things I was thinking about was that is one thing that an artist can bring to the table that AI will not be able to bring to the table. The relationship, the desire to support one another. And I don't think this just goes one way, right? I don't think it's just, hey, artists need to be supporting writers, right? I don't think that's not the case I'm trying to make. But what I am saying is that if I buy art from an artist, I already know that just this financial arrangement that we have supports his art in some kind of way, right? It supports his art, at least monetarily, right? And so one of the questions and one of the conversations that I would love to have with artists is how do not just how do artists support writers, but how do we support each other in the work that we're trying to do? And so I saw a post and they were talking about a guy. I need to keep the receipts, right? Anyway, they were talking about a guy who this is for one of the big studios. I don't remember which studio. He's working for a big studio. He's a concept artist. They brought an AI generated reference image, put it in front of him. He takes the reference image and they say, hey, we want you to redesign this. Boom. He redesigns it. The company decides, hey, we're not going to use your design. We're going to go ahead and just use the AI design. And the response to that I saw from artists, or at least this particular artist, was, and here it begins. This is our undoing, right? This is our replacement. This is how it's going to happen. And for me, when I saw that, my thought was, if that's what the big studios are going to do, the big studios are going to do that. The big studios are going to choose the cheapest route. They're going to choose the route that saves their bottom line. For us, though, in the indie space, I believe it's absolutely possible for us to say, okay, that's how they're going to do it. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. Right. And I feel like that conversation is not happening between the writers and the artists. The artists are just saying, if you're using AI, that's taking money off of, that's taking food out of our mouth. That's taking money out of our wallet. And that's true. I'm not saying that that's false. But I think the thing that's missing here is if we had conversations about, hey, the artists say, cool, we see AI is cheaper. We see that you can do this easier than if you're working with me or whatever the case may be, right? But the artist says, okay, what is it that we can do to make this a better experience? And then the writer also can say to the artist, cool, what is it that I can do to make this a better experience for you, right? So now what ends up happening is we create an ecosystem where in this ecosystem, it actually could make more sense for us to work together than it would be for us to use AI or for us to use any other thing. And I think right now what's happening is writers are using AI because what writers are saying is, again, not all writers, but I think writers are using AI because they're saying, some writers are saying, well, I need support, right? I don't have enough money to do this. I don't have enough income to do this, that, and the third, right? And then the response to that is, well, stop being lazy, do this, da 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 da, right? And it's like, cool, I get it, cool, right? And again, this is coming from somebody who does not use AI for art, so I pay my artists. I don't use AI for art, but I can understand the thought process of saying, hey, this right here is an opportunity for me to be telling stories and not have to I can get a visual element and not have to put out as much money on the front end, right? And so I think this should just be a conversation, right? Because I do not think that the answer is, hey, artists just do work for free. I don't think that's what the answer is. I think artists should absolutely be paid for the work, the time, the thought, the care, the skill, everything that an artist brings to a project. They deserve to be paid for that, right? And also with that, I think there's space for a conversation to say, okay, how can we better support the writers that we're working with? You know what I'm saying? I can probably name 2 to 3 artists that I've worked with that have supported me in what I was trying to do. Most situations that I'm on with an artist, I pay you your money and that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's up to me to find the money to pay. Then it's up to me to market, promote, sell the project, you know? And I'm not complaining. I'm not saying I'm not mad about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying the reality is though, when I go into a project, when I'm making a comic book, I absolutely go into it knowing it's 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 a high it's a high possibility that I'm not going to get no money off of this. And I personally, I wonder what writers think about that, because I think that most writers would agree with that. Most writers think like that. Like, hey, I'm going to go into this. I'm going to put money into this. I'm going to pay this person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get the project complete, knowing that I might not see no money from this for years, if ever, right? And again, the answer is not to just not pay artists. That's not what I'm advocating for. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for writers using AI. I think I'm just advocating for the conversation to be had between writers and artists. And even in the conversation that I was having, I hope I can get him on Roland Live. I actually want to get him and another artist. I might try to find another writer as well to get on, Roland Live and have this conversation, just because I think it's an important conversation, you know. But one of the things he said was, when I was talking about this, and I was like, there might be ways in which you can support a writer that might not cost you any money. And he was like, well, that's not fair. And I'm like, why is that not fair? And he's like, well, I have a heavy load and I, just and the third. And I'm like, well, listen, here's the thing. I'm not saying that you should do whatever somebody asks you to do, right? But the question is not even being asked by artists. Hey, how can we support y'all? Right? How can artists support writers? And, I imagine maybe artists believe, hey, well, I'm just, I give you the art and that's it. And maybe that's all that there is, right? Maybe that's all that there is. Maybe that's all the capacity that artists have. Maybe that's the limit and that's the extent of it, right? But I think that there is, I remember when I first got into comic books, I made a post on one of the comic book sites and I just said, hey, I'm working on this idea. I'm looking for a partner to go in, 50-50 with me. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something to that effect. And if you are a part of the comic book community, anytime somebody makes a post like that, you getting laughed out the room, right? You getting laughed off the post, like straight up, because it's crazy. Why would you offer no money up front, right? And I actually had somebody get on the post. He was very kind and he just gave me some ideas, some advice. He said, hey, we can't do it like that. And I said, yo, appreciate that, right? I've never approached an artist like that ever again. I always pay up front. I mean, not the whole thing up front, right? But I'm like, look, this is my budget. I could do this for these pages. Boom. I'm always paying. I don't like taking discounts. None of that. Boom. I was talking to another artist And he made the case. He was like, well, why don't writers just go to artists and say, hey, I'll give you a little bit up front, and then we can split it, split the profits on the back end, this, that, and the third, da. That's really, from my experience, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's really frowned upon in the comic book community. It's really frowned upon to approach an artist like that. It's like, look, pay my rate. I'm not giving you discounts. Like, I'm not working with you. Like, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And rightfully so. So many artists have been burned. So many artists have been, found themselves, you know, not getting paid and not getting their money. Again, I'm not saying that artists are wrong for that. I'm not saying that artists should take less than what they're worth. But what I am saying is that I think there's room for a conversation to be had about how artists and writers work together. And again, maybe there is no other way, right? Maybe it is just, hey, you just pay us what we deserve, and that's that. Maybe that's what it is, right? But I just think there's space for a conversation, and I think the AI conversation, is starting to exacerbate the relationship between artists and writers. Because I was getting frustrated having the conversation yesterday because I'm advocating for just a conversation, right? I'm advocating for the reality that artists generally aren't thinking, how can I support my writers? How can I support the writers that I'm collaborating with, right? And he was saying, well, I've never asked that question. And I'm like, right. Well, if you've never asked the question, how can you support somebody? Then how can you be sure that you're actually giving support that's beneficial, right? But again, that's why I think the conversation is just important to have, because that is something that AI will never be able to duplicate. AI will never be able to duplicate the collaborative process that humans have with each other. And so, to me, that's the reason why you will never be replaced. AI will never be able to replace you because of the relationships that you're building. But if you're not really interested in building the relationships and you just want to get your money, do the artwork, and then go about your business, that's different. I'm not saying you're wrong for that, but it creates this feeling of, for a writer, if it's like, hey, well, I'm looking for support. And if this is the only way that I can get support, why would I not do this? You know what I'm saying? Why would I not do this? And it doesn't always mean that people are evil or people are criminals or people don't want to work with people or people aren't, whatever. People are just trying to find a way to tell their stories. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit on here because I've been thinking about it. But like I said, I'll probably bring this to Rolam Live. Speaking of Rolam Live, Wednesday night at 8:00, I'm going live. I have a great guest. We're going to be talking about his comic book. Well, did I say his name? Hold on one second. Hold on. Yeah, we're going to be talking about so me and Malcolm McFadden, the owner of 615 Comics. I think it's 615 Comics. Yeah, 615 Comics. It's either 615 or 615. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, yo, what's good, Morgan? What you saying nah to? I'm not sure what you saying nah to. But yeah, Malcolm McFadden, 615 or 615 Comics. We're gonna be chopping it up on Wednesday on Rolam Live. He is doing he actually just wrapped up a Kickstarter campaign. He just wrapped up a Kickstarter campaign for King's Domain issues 1 and 2. Oh yeah, good look, Morgan. Good look. Yeah. So yeah, he just wrapped up a Kickstarter for that. And I think he has another one coming up pretty soon as well. I know they have a big year planned. So we're talking on Roland Live on Wednesday at 8. So I'm excited to chop with him. Then, like I said, this weekend I'll be in Charlotte for the mini con with my guy Morgan, Wally, Danny J Quick, Quest Studios. You already know what time it is. And yeah, that's that. That's that. I'm definitely going to try to get a panel together to have this conversation about AI and this relationship between writers and artists. Because I think it's, I don't know, I think it's important. I think it's controversial. It's contentious. Like I said, I was getting frustrated having the conversation yesterday, but I think it's necessary, you know. So I'm gonna try to pull some people together to see what we can do. Um, so yeah, that's that. If you would like to support me, support my writing, support the show, the first thing you can do is rolam.com. You can pre-order this Scarlet Ranger #3 bundle. Again, this ends February 28th. We're going to start shipping everything out in March. And so if you did not support the Kickstarter, we're unable to, you can get in on this now. And your books will be coming to you in March. So definitely check that out. You can also, I think the links are all in the description of these videos, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, but you can buy me a coffee. You can check out my Patreon where I'm talking about The Unveiling Stars, which is my upcoming novel that I'm working on. I just posted a early draft of the cover there for paid members. So I would love for you to join there. We got a $5 option. We got a $15 option. We got a $25 option. Also, you can check out my Substack. Wednesday, I will be doing another What is Inspiring Me post. I've been enjoying that. Been enjoying talking about what's been inspiring me, what I've been seeing online on Instagram. So definitely check that out. Check us out on Roland Live this Wednesday at 8 with Malcolm McFadden. And that's where we at. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I will see y'all soon. Peace.